So, hello everyone. Wanted to welcome you here. For those who don't know me, which you must be living under a rock if you don't. But I am Aaron Whitberger with the Bluegrass IIBA chapter. Very happy to have you all with us today and everything. So, thank you for coming and joining us. Like I said earlier, if you've not done so, um, please tell us where you're joining us from in the chat. And I know we got Canada here, we got the UK here, so we have an international audience. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Lloni Soogrim. She is a business analyst focusing on process improvement out there in Atlanta, Georgia. She is also Vice President of Professional Development for the Greater Atlanta IIBA chapter. So, very pleased to have Lonnie with us. Thank you, Lonnie, for being here. And the show's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Aaron, so much. And thank you, everybody, for being on. I see we have Canada too. We just had a new location dropped in the chat. Um, Such an honor to be in front of so many people representing so many different geographical areas. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Um, just to prepare you, I have, oh, awesome, Peter. Please email me because we could definitely use some more Atlanta people. Um, just to assure you, as far as time frames, I have gone over this a couple times and it is just under 30 minutes. So that will give us plenty of time to have discussion and make sure this is as interactive as possible. I love conversations, and I figured for this being a lunch and learn, that would be the most beneficial way to keep you guys engaged in case you ate something heavy before you got on this call. So, jumping right in, as Aaron said, I am a business analyst. I do specialize in process improvement on the operations side. So I'm in an EPMO office and I serve IT departments. Um, I've also done PM work, so I love discussions around the difference between a BA and PM. I'm sure a lot of you have had to explain that to people just in the field or in general because PM is more popular, I'll say, as far as discussions in the professional world. But what we do is imperative to business operations, which means our communication is one of the best soft skills that we can develop as professionals. Which leads me to today's conversation. So, with today, I'm sure you guys saw we are talking about clarity, how our role aligns with clarity in what we do, and how that aligns with BABIC. I had to throw BABIC in there, as Aaron said, being with professional development in Atlanta. And I know Bluegrass is really great with their study groups and helping communities all throughout IIBA just get together and make sure that we are all in alignment with the newest edition of it and the certifications that IIBA has to offer. So, jumping right into it so we can start this under 30 minutes and you guys can hold me to my word. The first thing that I wanted to just throw out is I will have quotes all throughout this. If there's any time you guys want me to pause, restate something, or if you have a question, I am watching Zoom, so I will be able to see any hand raises, and I'm sure Aaron and Peter will also help me with if I miss anything in the chat. But I'm actually looking at Zoom, so feel free to pause me um, or raise your hand or go off mute. So this can be conversational. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So Babic defines effective BA performance, and I quote, as ensuring stakeholders share a common understanding of roles, responsibilities, and decision authority. I wanted to start off with that concept because I was recently asked the the difference between how PMI and how IIBA describe BAs. Um, and there are differences. So I'm sure we have some people in the group who are both certified on both houses, with the PMI house and the IIBA house. So if anybody wants to share and validate, I'll give a very general description of both. So PMI comes from the standpoint of how we as BAs, or even if you're not the title of BA, but if you have a business analysis role within a project, how we support project managers with on-time delivery and keeping cost down. So it's basically how we support project managers on projects with their two initiatives. So a lot of the skills and things that they dive into in PMI are supportive roles for that. On the flip side, IIBA tends to focus more on how we align with the business as a whole, with the operations. So how we are able to analyze what needs to be prioritized, analyze what needs to be communicated, um, and making sure that what the doers, as I like to call them, is doing to align with what the business goals and objectives are. So I'm going to pause there and I want to ask from the group. I told you guys this was going to be interactive. What are some of your experiences with the differences between whether you are PMI or IIBA certified and how your roles do or do not fit into what I just shared? Feel free to unmute. No? All right. Oh, there we go. We have one in the chat. And she said, Stephanie, thank you. CBAP and PMI are good. Both certifications, love that. And your role fits quite well. Okay, so with saying that, have you noticed with having the two different certifications from the two different organizations, do you feel like the focus fit into those two differentiating categories? And you can drop it in the chat or you can say it out loud.
I felt with the IIBA, even the exam really was more focused on study and repetition, whereas the PBA, it was very practical in nature in terms of I could never have taken the PBA exam without being a BA. Like the questions were very focused on the role in terms of your experience and how you would apply that to certain situations, where the CBAP exam was you could, and I hate to say this, but you could pluck someone off the street and have them memorize the BA Bach and they could pass the exam.
Okay, so we're not going to share this recording with anybody outside of IIBA.
I hate to say that, I do find like the content of the BA Bach very helpful, but literally it was less based around scenarios and things of that nature. So I felt the content of the PBA and like the focus of the PMI in that way was more geared towards people that are in the practice. It just was very practical in nature, and that's kind of the focus that I find with them, and it helps me kind of align with how the role fits within like the practice within BAs or PMs, like very clear to delineate there, where as when I started as a BA probably 20 odd years ago, IIBA was literally the only one in that space. It was more, it was well understood that your role could cross between BA and PM.
Okay. Well, and yeah, I feel like that pretty much aligns the more of the support of the project, and with supporting projects, I do feel like the roles do kind of are cross-functional at times, or the skills are transferable. So thank you for that. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Before I move on, I just want to give acknowledgement to a couple other chats that were dropped, and then I'll move on. So Morgan, thank you for sharing. Morgan is also certified with CBAP, which is an IIBA certification. And Morgan says that the current role, business process optimization manager, which is an internal product manager, definitely feels like it supports the business, which totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. So I love that. That sounds like that is more aligned with IIBA's definitions in the BABIC. Here is. And Helen, I appreciate you sharing that. I think a lot of people can relate to your comment. Sometimes even without the title, we are thrown in areas where BA skills are needed or PM skills are needed, which is one of the reasons why I like that IIBA is the International Institute of Business Analysis and not business analyst, because it really is a skill that can be used in multiple roles. So yes, so thank you guys for sharing. All right, moving right along. So according to IIBA research, the lack of role clarity is the leading cause of delivery delays, governance confusion, increases rework risk, and clear stakeholder alignment improves product outcomes. There are a few things that we typically document for these three. So I'm going to read the three again. The lack of role clarity, so that's not just our role, that's anybody involved, is the leading cause of delivery delays. The governance confusion increases rework risk, and clear stakeholder alignment improves project outcomes. So just throwing out, I know there are a lot of things that we document, but throwing out some of the things that we typically document for this is project requirements. With project requirements, I have seen them as long as 10+ page documents, which I think is ridiculous because nobody's going through and rereading all of that when they're elbow deep into a project. And as short as something that they're just adding as part of the story within their project management tool. User stories, and acceptance criteria, and a description. One of the things that I have started to do almost exclusively is taking whatever my project requirement document says, putting that into the AI for my project management tool, and telling it from this document, please create my description, a brief description, for anybody who doesn't want to read the whole thing, and a stakeholder who's maybe just checking in or wants to see high level view. User story, and I follow the traditional as a, I need, so that format, and my acceptance criteria, like what are milestone deliverables that need to be hit in order for the project to be considered complete. So once I upload that document, I have AI do that. One of the beautiful things, it doesn't matter what project management tool you use right now, whether you use Monday.com, ClickUp, Wrike, Asana, Trello. Those are the ones that I've used. I know you guys can probably name 50 others, but those are the ones that I've had experience with. All of them have their own AI agents where you can use it to automate how you do it, or automate how you want it to spit it out. So one thing I like to add into it is my personality. I make sure that when I'm setting up that AI agent, my two main softwares now are ClickUp and Asana. So making sure that when I have that prompt, I have the agent has a personality in the background where it's like, make sure you're writing this in my voice. You know, make sure it's clear that this is coming from the business analyst and whatever I want to specify as if I wrote it myself. And then of course, double checking it because AI is not perfect. So with that said, told you one of my cheat codes. I like to use AI agents in my product management tools to make sure that I am not having to document everything by hand and that I'm automating the prompts for writing my descriptions, my user stories, and my acceptance criteria. What are some other tactics that you guys have learned or techniques that you guys have learned or adopted that have helped speed up making sure that you have role clarity, that you minimize governance confusion, and that you have clear stakeholder alignment? Feel free to unmute or drop in the chat. Stakeholder maps. Oh, I love that. Would you mind going in a little deeper on how you construct your stakeholder maps and what tool you use? You can drop it in the chat or unmute. Are you referring to Power BI?
No, it's just the grid. So you map out the power on the left and the interest on the right, and then you plot them in terms of
I
where they
misread
where
that.
they
Thank you. Thank you. I misread that. And I don't know if it was my audio settings, but you sound a little low. But would you mind saying it one more time?
Yeah. So you use a a bar graph, so to speak. It's like a matrix, and on one axis you have the power, and then on another axis you have the interest. So you'll have some stakeholders that have a lot of power and a lot of interest, and you just map them against whichever quadrant they fit in.
I love that. I love that. And that also helps with communication because we don't necessarily communicate everything to all stakeholders. So I like that, the power and interest grids. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
All right. So moving right along. Um, so everything that we're discussing so far and moving forward is rooted in our BABIC. Specifically business analysis, planning, and monitoring. And I have to throw that out there because clearly as Aaron said, making sure that the professional development within IIBA, that we just reiterate where some of our touch points and information come from. So everything that I'm sharing is coming from that knowledge area, the business analysis, planning, and monitoring. So sharing another quote that I got actually just reading some forum. It said, "This is where clarity begins, not in documentation, but in defining how people work together," which is a great segue into, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into role clarity. So in BABIC terms, the explaining role clarity aligns directly with planned stakeholder engagement, which emphasizes defining roles, responsibilities, and decision authority. And as Mayor, I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly, but as Mayor said, with using the power and interest grids, or if you do RACI charts, or there's so many different tools and techniques that can be used depending on the project, but all the same gist. Who needs to know what, and where communication needs to flow. So when these are unclear, requirements suffer. When they're clear, delivery accelerates. I spent 9 years in finance, and one of the things we used to tell our clients is the quality of information that you provide to me directly reflects what I am able to deliver to you. And I think even in this role with being in business operations, that's is still true today. Only difference is now my clients are internal, not external. But I stand firm on that, which is why business analysis skills, some of the things are just asking questions, sounding like that 5-year-old. Well, why? Making sure that we really get to the root of what needs to be done. No, I'm not sharing a slide deck, but thank you for asking. Um, what needs to be done and what needs to be addressed throughout the project. So, I'm touching on that with role clarity. Can anybody give an example, so we can give you a virtual pat on the back for a project that you had where the role clarity was so well defined that you were able to deliver beyond what the requirements needed within the time frame? And whoever does share, we are all going to flood them with applauses. So if you haven't done it, there is a reaction at the bottom bar on your Zoom. It says react. If you hit react, you'll be able to, yep, everybody got it. So now that was our practice round. So you guys are just reacting for practice. Now we need somebody to actually share. I want to hear a recent win of a time where the roles were so well defined that you guys were able to deliver beyond what the project required. First one to speak gets all the love. Go ahead, just unmute and say it.
Hi there.
Hello.
Actually, it happened in one case when the project was internal in the IT department. That time, everybody on the room was clear what's required and what's needed to make everything work. And thanks God, it worked fine.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, because they were aware they had the, I will not say the knowledge, but I'm sorry, I'm not finding the word to specifically describe what happens, but everybody was aware what's the SDLC and what's happened and where shall I start and when shall it end.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you guys were able to deliver. I heard one big win. I heard you say under cost. That's always
Mm,
a big win.
mm,
And
Actually,
then you
no,
were
no, no.
you didn't
I
say
did not mention. No, no, no,
I thought I heard cost. I'm sorry.
no, because it was inside the department itself, inside the ID department.
Okay. Awesome. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing. So let's flood him with some reactions. He was bold to get on to unmute himself and share recent projects. So thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. All right. While you guys still giving him some love, I'm going to move on to the next one. When explaining process alignment is the next one. I told you I just wanted to dive deeper into those three that we went over. So Babbitt calls it governance. So establishing how decisions are made and how work flows through an organization. So sometimes what this looks like for us is documenting things that, and I'm going to say the doers. I use that word a lot because I work in IT and that's what I call them. The doers, I just document what they do. So like in that example, um, I may have detailed knowledge on how to do something in Azure. But for the sake of the organization, I want to make sure that I am defining the process the way it is done within the firm. So Babbitt calls this governance for a number of reasons, but in my mind, the number one important reason is when we are doing that level of documentation, we want to make sure that we're not just saying what needs to be done, but we're also saying who is responsible for what, which is best done by titles, not people, or departments, not people. And governance is not bureaucracy, it is clarity. So, on that note, explaining process alignment, we're going to give love to somebody else in the crowd who wants to be bold and get unmute and share something that they've done to explain process alignment with such detail that everyone knew had clarity on not only what needed to be done, but who needed to do it.
This is Retta. One of the newer tools we're adopting or learning to adopt is Loop inside of Teams and Microsoft. And so creating the Loop pages where we really kind of have been defining, I just started a newer project where we're doing our investigation. And so we've created specific pages with where the decision matrix is defined. So it's there readily available for everyone.
Your audio went out a little bit. Just me, or the audio went out a little bit? Try it again, Greta. Yeah, your audio went out. Griffin, you wanna? Thank you. As we're getting Greta's audio back up, does anybody use
Can you hear me?
Copilot? Yes, perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry. Using the loop, the first thing I did was define the project planning, like who the roles were, and to your point, it's the person's name with their job title, so that everybody understands who's kind of responsible for what, especially when we had all the players going on down there. And then we also made sure we automatically built out the decision matrix so that as things came up in certain meetings, we could put them out there for a broader discussion when the time came. So we didn't forget about it. So that loop page and using that loop process we're finding is making it really easy to collaborate with business across multiple states and locations, as well as across multiple team members who may not have been as involved with this type of process before.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Everybody, let's flood her with some reactions. As you guys are flooding her with reactions, I like that you guys use Loop for it, because Loop, you're able to segment things like doing in Word, like having chapters or like subtitles. So it's a great way of organizing a lot of documentation in a concise manner. And Copilot can be integrated in it as well. So it's awesome being able to help you kind of speed up the process with how long it takes for documentation with Copilot. So thank you so much, Greta, for sharing. All right, last closing remark that I want to make, and I want to say, I started at 12:08. It is 12:32 Eastern time, so I like to keep my word. So my closing remarks that I want to make today is Babbage doesn't position clarity as optional. It positions it as essential to successful business analysis outcomes. And that's why certifications, hint, hint, that shameless plug for IIBA, and applying them strategically can transform not just your knowledge, but also your impact. For those of you who have been in BA roles or BA aligned roles, you know that we are often responsible for having influence without authority. So being able to make sure that we are using these techniques and strategies, that we are able to make sure that we are coming with our impact. So I really appreciate everybody's time and interaction today. This was an awesome opportunity to be on with you guys, and I look forward to you. If while I'm passing the mic over to Aaron and opening the floor for any questions, while I'm doing that, I strongly encourage everyone on here to connect on LinkedIn, not just for me, but for names that you see in the chat and things like that, because we really are a community. So you never know what somebody has. I've talked to people in completely different roles who posted something on LinkedIn because it was like, oh my gosh, I needed to hear that today. That helped me solve something or a connection. We can all be resources to each other. So my name is Lloni Soogrim. Thank you again. And Aaron, I would turn it over to you and ask if there are any questions.
Yes, thank you very much. So there's my LinkedIn in the chat. Anybody who wants to connect with me. Bluegrass IIBA chapter also has a profile on LinkedIn. I will grab that as soon as I can. Anybody have any questions for Lonnie? Don't be shy. Okay, there's Bluegrass chapter. I see Retta's out there who was just speaking. So Ahmed and Mayor, thank you very much for your comments through this. Really appreciate you all making this interactive and providing content for this, answering questions for Lonnie and interacting with her. Helen Linda, so one of our favorites out there in Vermont. There's her LinkedIn, I think. Okay. So, everybody, thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate it. We need more events from Bluegrass. Um, I don't know how we could do more events. I mean, a lot of chapters, they do one monthly meeting, and that we are averaging right now 6 events per month for our community. So we do a lot. More than a lot of chapters do. So we put a lot out there, a variety of topics, variety of formats and everything. And pick what's good for you, what works for you. So we want to put a lot of content out there and allow people to pick their own. Ahmed, do you have something?
Yes, actually, I'm the one who is requesting for more events. So I just want to know, these events are listed in the IIBA page for events on the
Uh,
calendar because
it is the better place to find it would be our website. Um, but it's out there in IIBA.org on the chapter events calendar with all the other chapters in that. So you can find a lot more than just Bluegrass. But here's the link to our website, our events page, if you want to see what we got going on. We're in the middle of a Bob Box study group right now. You can't get into that one anymore. We just had a training class start yesterday. So we got a AI for BAs class that SoftEd is delivering for us. The February class is sold out, so we have a March class. So that is in registration right now, and it's still in early bird. So you could get the early bird prices for that. So we
great,
do a lot of training as well as educational stuff. Our meeting next month is on, or next week, sorry, is we meet on the third Wednesday of the month for our regular chapter meeting, 6 p.m. This month we have Martina Savabona joining us, talking about unlocking product success. So should be as informational, entertaining as today was. So feel free, register, come back and join us. You're welcome to all of our events. We welcome everybody in that. So
thanks a lot, Aaron. All the love to you and the
thank you.
team in Bluegrass.
So thank you everybody for being here. Really appreciate you being here. Lonnie, appreciate it very much. Thank you for coming and sharing your insights with our community. Everybody have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week.
Thank you.